how to regulate your emotions when you're going through an overwhelming day, situation, week, month, whatever it is. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Vanessa. Thank you all for tuning in. I really love making these videos. So let's get into it. I'm sitting on the balcony right now. I'm telling you, I've had a very overwhelming day. It started off easy and then it just started getting quite overwhelming, and I feel like I had this building up this week already a little bit. So what I do on those days, I'm sharing with you to support you so you can start getting a little bit of control, empowerment back on those days and help you feel hopefully better. So what I do on those days is I recognize that there are maybe some emotions going on within me that I may have not been able to name yet or able to understand yet, and just know that that's completely okay. Yeah, you don't need to always know what's going on with you. There's a phase of overwhelm that's building up, especially when you're in a phase where a lot is going on in your life externally, and there are some things that you cannot control, and there may be some collaborators or some clients or maybe some other factors that make you feel like, there's a lot going on. I'm not just doing this by myself. So there needs to be communication, and that's an important point, because sometimes when we get overwhelmed, our emotions get heightened and we react in the way that we do automatically, but maybe is not the best response that we could give in that situation. So I already made a few videos on that, so go back and check them out on emotional regulation. And so on this video, I want to talk more about when you're already in that overwhelm, how it feels like. Preface to this is obviously we want to notice when we're getting overwhelmed. So this is again something we need to practice. Often we only notice when we're overwhelmed when we're already in the peak of it, in the spiraling point, in the high feelings, in the blaming, in the shaming of others, ourselves, in the crying or whatever it is. Yeah, and I'm laughing because not to trigger you or not to play it down, but because we need to find a little bit of fun in the hard stuff, in the drama. There is a little bit of fun as well when you are able to laugh about yourself. Not always, there's a balance between taking yourself seriously and, taking a joke on yourself. But if you can learn to a little bit laugh about yourself, about what's your inner narrative and what's going on in those situations, I'm telling you, it's going to get much easier. So let's say you already, you didn't notice that overwhelm was building up, or maybe you are noticing right now, I'm getting overwhelmed. So that's what happened to me today. I noticed, there are quite a few things happening this week for me, and I feel like very emotional today. I'm starting to get overwhelmed. Now, for women, for example, factors play in, biological women, factors play in like maybe you're getting your period. Then human things like, did you sleep enough? Did you eat properly? Did you drink a lot of water? So you want to, in those situations, cover your bases that help you feel a little more sane. Yeah, so that's the baseline. After the baseline, maybe a meditation if that helps you, maybe a breathing exercise. In fact, let's just take a deep breath all together right now. In through the nose and out through the mouth. That was good, no? Let's do one more. Deep in through the nose, deep into your belly, expand your rib cage, your belly. And release through the mouth. You can make a sound. Sigh it out. See, I can already smile. Maybe you can bring a smile on your face. Realize that life is what it is. We cannot, change it when it happens. Cannot control everything, I mean by saying that. And that's okay. So let's not take every situation so seriously. Yeah. So when you realize that, that's already a good point. Now, if you're in a moment where you feel like F off, like I am not ready to realize anything, Vanessa, you're annoying me, I'm gonna click off this video, well, stay here, I got a little more for you. It is really okay to be annoyed and angry or upset in some way, yeah. Just make sure you go into that upset with realizing that maybe the situation at hand is not ultimately what really upsets you. Maybe there's something underlying that is being triggered right now in 1, 2, 3 situations at hand, and that gives you that feeling of overwhelm, of what is the actual issue. Ask yourself, get curious. Am I feeling, what is the overwhelm about? Am I feeling unsafe? Am I feeling like I'm losing control? Am I feeling like I'm not seen or heard or appreciated? And then also ask yourself, is that really true, or is this a narrative that I'm telling myself in my head? I'm going to give you my example. I had 2 interactions today with 2 wonderful collaborators, and one in the morning, and they just, said one sentence that triggered me. And what I did was I noticed that it triggered me, and I decided actively not to demonize them, not to put it on them, not to judge them, but also not to judge myself for feeling triggered. But what I did was I took responsibility over my emotions, and I was just like, all right, after this conversation, I think I need to, do a little bit of journaling or feeling into myself to figure out what is going on here. Why do I feel this trigger so strongly? And by noticing that, I know that some people would say now, oh, you don't need to analyze everything. And yes, it's true, you don't need to analyze everything. But if a strong trigger comes up, it's a beautiful opportunity to see, where do you feel not in your worth? Where do you feel maybe triggered because, like you don't feel deserving or worthy or equal or whatever it is in or safe or whatever in that situation for you. So this is something that can really help you when you release it, to just feel safer in who you are, more confident. It will also make your relationship, collaboration, business partnership, romantic relationship, whatever, it will also be positive for that, because the trigger, that emotional, that unsaid energy will be gone. It will leave the room, and there will not be this unspoken tension, so to say. And I'm sure you know what I mean, because we've all experienced that. So I sat myself down, and I just checked in with myself on what the trigger was. And it has nothing to do with the situation or what they said. What they said may have triggered it because the narrative that I built around that just fit to an old wound that was coming up for me. And I'm actually grateful for the wound to come up, because it's a perfect time to release it. Because sometimes when you want to grow or go to the next level or step up in life, in family, in romance, in work, business, and with step up, I mean, be more self-expressed in your natural expression and be more authentic with other people, and allow yourself to take up more space. And if this is something that feels like you want to do, and you want to expand and live freely, then you will find on your way challenges that ask you, basically, like the universe, God, your higher self, however, your life, however you want to call it. Are you really ready? Or is this still triggering you because there's still the wound, you remember? So that's basically what I was sitting with in the morning. And I realized that it came from a very old wound of not feeling, not being taken seriously by one of my parents. So I just spoke to my inner child, and I was like, okay, what do you need to feel here? And she felt like upset. She, as in my inner child, felt upset. So I felt that upset and frustration for a moment, and under that frustration I felt sadness, and I let myself feel that for a moment, and then I was like, you know what, you're worthy. Doesn't matter who says it or not, you know it, because we all are inherently worthy. And we just feel like we need to get the outside validation because we don't believe in our own power and deservingness and worth. So let me just remind you, as your older adult self that's looking out for you, this is also called reparenting, going in. And when I say going in, going into closing your eyes and connecting with your body and feeling where the pain sits in your body. For me, it's in my throat and my chest. So I just breathe into those places and allow that feeling to come up more. It's uncomfortable, but I can do it. So that's when I feel through it, and that's when I imagine my inner child is sitting in my throat or in my chest, and I talk to her and I tell her, look, you're worthy, like everything I just shared with you. And then I wait for her response, and maybe there's more to be said, or maybe there's just a hug that I give her and she's like, thank you, and then the situation is resolved. So reassuring your inner parts is an important thing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say inner parts, inner child, check out my other videos. I talk about this all the time. Okay. Yeah, let's take a breath here. So that was a little emotional for me today, but after I processed that emotion and that realization, I felt no more issue with the situation in the morning at hand. And I was like, okay, suddenly I can see it completely differently without the emotional charge. And I'm like, oh, we were just checking in and checking this and that. And it has nothing to do with my worth or my contribution or whatever. So then in the afternoon, I had like a second round of that, basically, where I had a meeting with another collaborator, and I felt a similar situation, just more intense. And I had really invested quite a lot in that collaboration, and I just felt like not like that wasn't really seen. But that was a narrative I was telling myself. And here's the thing. Sometimes we don't feel appreciated, and it is actually real that somebody doesn't appreciate us. And then we totally get to draw our boundaries, and we get to say, listen, I really don't feel appreciated in that dynamic. This is how I feel, and what do you want to say to that, you know? But in this dynamic, I know 100% that the person really appreciates me. So I already knew in my head, all right, here we go, second round, emotional roller coaster. I'm feeling overwhelmed again. What is the overwhelm? Oh, I'm feeling upset because, again, similar situation, same wound that came up twice today. So I did the same thing. I felt into it. I was also thinking, this is a person that I really, really trust. So I can probably tell them how I feel right now, and we can probably resolve this together, and they can reassure me. Now, you cannot expect that from everybody, because you will not have that trust of a situation with everybody. But if you have a dispute and you're feeling overwhelmed with your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, your mom, whatever, then maybe that's the situation. And I share now exactly what I said, because maybe that helps you in words. So then they called me, and we spoke, and I didn't answer because I was like, okay, I need to prepare for a second, and I don't want to, get sort of like lose the control on my emotions and say something I would regret. So let me just regulate for a moment. So what I did was, and everybody needs to find out what helps you regulate. So I just sat with my breath, and I just felt into what would I want to hear from a person that, like what is it really on my heart, without ego, without anger, what is it really that I need? And I just wanted to tell the person, my friend actually, listen. And then I called them back, and I said, listen, I feel really overwhelmed today. I said it also with a smile because, again, in those situations, it's good to not go all dramatic because we may like to make it bigger than it actually is in those situations. So I said them, I feel really overwhelmed today. I'm sorry, but like this conversation kind of triggered me. I know it's not you. I know it's something that I'm dealing with all day already today. So I know it, but I just want you to know, like, when you said this and that made me feel like that. And I also felt a little bit, underappreciated. I'm not saying that this was your intention to underappreciate me, but I felt like that, probably because there's something in the air for me today that already brings that topic up. And what they said was, whoa, I'm also feeling really overwhelmed, and I'm really sorry that, I made you feel that way. That was not my intention, and here's how I feel about you, and let's do this and this. And so we could actually resolve whatever was in the way, the tension, and there was a resolve. And sometimes resolve is really necessary. So that's why I shared with you. It's always good not to point fingers and be like, you made me feel like that. No, it's because it often is based on your interpretation of the situation. So, in most cases, people don't intend to make us feel shitty or underappreciate us, yeah? If now, like I just said, I just want to reinforce that, if somebody actually doesn't care and makes you feel shitty, then it's okay to draw your boundaries and tell them, look, that doesn't feel good to me. I don't feel appreciated in this exchange or in this situation or in this relationship. I don't feel heard. And speak about yourself. Speak in the I. Don't feel heard. I'm not sure if that was your intention. Like, give people the benefit of the doubt, and maybe even ask them, listen, how I'm feeling the situation is that right now I feel overwhelmed or not appreciated, or like you don't hear me, or whatever your situation is. And I'm just curious how you feel about it. Just ask them openly. And some people may be able to engage into this open conversation, and then maybe that will trigger the other person actually, because they are not used to vulnerability or open conversation, and then they may respond automatically with the ego. So just know that and let them be. It's okay. We don't need to demonize them or tell them now you're a bad person or whatever. Let them have the reaction, because it's also human, right? Just like you and I need time to learn how to regulate our emotions and speak with an open heart and an open mind and from a place of self-responsibility. Other people need to learn it too, yeah? And maybe they are not as advanced as you are, or maybe they're more advanced as you are, or it's not a competition, yeah? But I just want you to see the nuance and consider various perspectives, yeah? Because it's important to stay human and stay open. And sometimes when we're learning, when we're engaging in self-growth, self-development, spirituality practices, we are trying to work on our ego, but we're creating spiritual ego. So then there's, sorry for the sound in the background. So then we feel suddenly like, I'm better than you. No, you're not. I'm sorry. No matter how anybody lives their life, there is no hierarchy, even if it seems like that to you. You don't know why they are living the life that they do. Maybe it is actually to show you what you don't want, just as an example. It's a little off topic, but let's take it aside. I really wanted to make that point. So yeah, when you're getting overwhelmed, check in with yourself, acknowledge your emotions. Don't push them down, don't push them away, don't ignore them. Acknowledge them. And also take a moment for yourself. You don't immediately need to answer, respond the call. You can even say, I'm a little overwhelmed right now. I'm going to leave the room if this is in person, yeah? Nothing against you. I just need a moment to collect myself, for example. Nobody said that you need to immediately respond. Nobody said that you need to adapt to every situation. sometimes we learn this in childhood, that we need to please everybody and adapt to everything, but this is not true. And now you're an adult and you get to make your own choices and take your space if you need it. All I'm asking is do it with compassion and with grace and consideration, because if we want to be mature adults, we need to learn to communicate in a non-violent way. Yeah, this is my little story for today. If you have a similar one, if you want to share anything on that topic, I'm curious how you feel about regulating your emotions. If this is easy or hard for you, share it all down in the comments below with me. I'm really curious to read about it, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer it. So I feel a lot of resolve today, not just because I got to make this video for you now, because when I make these videos, it's a beautiful way for me to reflect and also, learn a lot through the words that are floating through me, wherever they come from. Gratitude. And I'm just feeling really happy that I overcame that overwhelm today and resolved the situation with grace. And I also I'm happy, when we should also clap ourselves on the shoulder when we feel overwhelmed, but we don't let the ego take over, and we can see. I always feel like, I don't know how to describe it, but when you're staying in the driver's seat and you're seeing, oh, this is going on in the front seat, or this is going on the street, and I'm seeing what's happening, and I'm a cautious driver. I'm prepared. Oh no, how do you say? Like, I'm a I don't know what it's called. If you know it, write it in the comments below. Like, you're driving smartly. Basically, see yourself like the driver of your car, and you're watching the traffic, and you see how maybe somebody is crossing in on your lane, and you're like, instead of freaking out, you're like, this person must have a reason for doing that. And I don't need to freak out about it. It's fine. What does it do for my life to freak out about it right now? So see yourself as a driver in the traffic, and sometimes you react, sometimes they react, and is the reaction really necessary, or could we just smooth operate and drive forward? Alrighty, everybody, thank you so much for staying on and watching till the end. Thank you. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'm gonna go make some dinner, and I see you tomorrow. Ciao. Oh, don't forget to subscribe.